Kia ora and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lounge. I'm Katie, I'm your host. Great to welcome you back for another episode, sitting here in the lounge. Hope you've got your coffee, some water, beverage of your choice. Take that big breath. Nice. The Leadership Lounge is a podcast for those that are working and leading in healthcare. And this is your opportunity to take a breath, take a moment to pause, think, reset, get that fresh perspective on the work that you are doing. Like I said, I'm Katie, I'm your host. I've worked in healthcare for over 30 years, and this podcast is one of the offerings that I put out into the world to bring some joy, inspiration, ideas, hope to those working in healthcare. And hope, now that's interesting right now. There's some stuff going on, right? If it be strikes or cuts or anything like that, really, pretty much. It seems and feels pretty tough. We actually had an appointment at the hospital the other day, and the doctor we saw is kind of like, yep, it's still mad, but we love it and this is what we do. And I had another conversation with a manager this week, and we were again talking about the fact that there's some stuff to do and it's hard. And mistakes get made, and there's things that need to be done, and there's, an awful lot of that kind of stuff. But there's also a million and one things brilliant that happen every day in the healthcare sector. And it's because of you, your teams, the way that you are showing up and the way that you are leading. So just hold your head high, have that hope. And here we go. So this week, interestingly, that bit wasn't planned. Okay, my little bit of notes. Now my little bit of notes. I was going to do some work on stakeholder analysis. It came up last week when we were looking at the SWOT and the SAW tool and how they could be useful for you personally, for you as your team, and to think about the organisation and the business or the team that you are in. And so stakeholder analysis, I thought, was a good sort of adjunct to it, another deep dive into that kind of idea. However, chaos reigns in this house, and that's not what's going to happen. So I quickly did some other scribbled and notes. So it's very real and, as always, very authentic around what's going on and how it relates to how we show up at work. So moved into the house. Adam is doing all the work, and I have now moved. It may be very echoey, quite echoey. I don't know what we're going to do about the sound. Anyway, the last few episodes have been recorded from downstairs. I'm now back up in the little study room, all painted, all looking beautiful. We've got no carpet yet. There's a bit of underlay stuff down. And this weekend the shelves went up. So the desk is kind of still sitting in the middle of the room. Things aren't like quite straight. And the desk, oh my God, it's awful. I really should take a picture of it, to be quite honest, and share it for you all, because it's quite chaotic. And I'm like, okay, just breathe and get the stuff done. Get the work done. So that's the sort of context. But I was chatting to Adam today when we were out and about, and it was kind of like, this overwhelm. I look around and I feel overwhelmed. And I asked the question that you do, what's going to help you manage or cope with that feeling of overwhelm? Now, this is a really relevant feeling, comes up every single time if I'm running an emotional culture deck session, this sense of overwhelm. We don't want to feel it, but we do on a fairly regular basis, to be quite honest. And so actually stopping and asking yourself, what's going to help you manage or cope with that overwhelm is really important. And if that's all you do this week, then that is fantastic. Just take that breath and go, what is going to help me manage or cope with that overwhelm? Now, for Adam, it was about being a bit more visual and obvious about the progress that was being made. It was about having a more visual to-do list or something that was ticking off, or a plan for the week, and making that progress. So that was his. That's going to help me while I'm doing all this stuff and looking around the house, so that I can see how far I've come. Now, if you've been reading my blogs, get my email. Of course, you can sign up for that at www.katiequinney.com/subscribe. The weekly email that comes out that is definitely a bright spot in your inbox, brings sprinkling some joy and hope and inspiration for you. Common topic around this, that consistency, that showing up, that celebrating stuff, that 1% better, that keep going, just do the small steps will get you there. A fairly consistent message, various different variations on there, and a common belief I have, about that, I'm making small steps, I'm getting there. I'm, some days are bigger steps than others, but it's always something. And even resting counts as a step, in my opinion, because resting is essential for continual progress. So this consistency showing up. However, I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment. I'm going to have to check. I'm missing two screens so much. I now have to flick because I kind of like scribble. I can't see the notes. 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. So listening to that now, I'm only a couple of chapters in, so I have not made up all my opinions. I've not gathered all the ideas yet. I'm still in the early stages, but it is challenging my thinking because rather than 1% better, it's saying, no, make a big goal, make a massive goal, make something impossible, and that will shift you. And it's actually easier. Now, there's a whole load of theory and tactics and thinking behind it. And there are some similarities around stuff. The things like making a goal, that is important. What are we actually aiming for? What's the 10 out of 10 vision here? What do you imagine in 2 years' time, 6 months' time? That vision of where you are heading. Where this changes is the steps that you do and the thinking you're doing. It's borrowing on a whole load of other ideas as far as I can see. It really reminds me of Jim Collins in Good to Great and the Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. Really reminds me of the 80-20 rules. There's lots of kind of similar themes coming together, if you like, in this book. Not made my mind up yet. A really interesting one is this idea of identity, and it's actually the who we think we are and our mindset around it. So, and that's what helps catapult us into that 10x space rather than the 2x space. And it's basically saying that, the little bits every day, the slow progress, the consistency, the 1% better, that's 2xing yourself, that's linear. So it's quite interesting and it is challenging my thinking. So, nice quickie this week because of the chaos around me, to be fair, probably more than anything else, and the lack of notes. But this is I just really liked the idea of moving from this space of feeling overwhelmed. And with all the stuff that is going on right now, wherever you're working in healthcare, there will be levels of that overwhelm for you or for your team, people that you're working for. And having that conversation, what's going to help you manage or cope, really important. But the other thing, and this is what I'm really getting from listening to this book, is that it is challenging my thinking and it's giving me that different perspective. And it's like, okay, maybe there are moments where 1% isn't the best way to go. Maybe there are, maybe there isn't. It's like I'm often a jump on board, early adopter with any kind of book that I really kind of connect with. And I'm like, yes, I'm all in and I give it a try and see what works. So I'm probably going to do a similar kind of thing with this book, to be honest, because it's quite intriguing. So it's testing it out and seeing what works for you and then taking those kind of gold nuggets from it. So my question this week is, can you challenge your thinking? What is it that you have always done? And maybe there's an opportunity that you are wrong and there is a different way of doing it. Or what is the challenge over how you are showing up or the steps that you take every day? What is it around the books that you are reading, listening to, or the people that you are spending time with? Where's the space where you can challenge your thinking? And it's kind of one of those contradictory things. You're feeling overwhelmed, so why on earth would I start to challenge my thinking? And only a few weeks ago, I wrote an email and talked about in the podcast around the fact that there are moments when comfort is important. I'm always talking about courage and stepping out of your comfort zone, whereas actually, a few weeks ago, I'm like, no, stay in your comfort zone. Sometimes that's important. What I love about this is just as a reflection of the waves that we ride as part of life, basically. So maybe right now, this is a moment for you to go, yeah, I need to be challenged. I need to have my beliefs or my habits or the way I do things actually challenged, because maybe I'll be more effective, more efficient, more impactful if I do shift. So where's your challenge? All right, some contradictory messages for you. I do believe in this idea of that we can hold all of these things together. It's one of the components of a vertical mindset and vertical development as a leader is that you can hold these seemingly opposing ideas around stuff. And it's almost like you've got this smorgasbord of ideas and you can just hold them all lightly and lean into the ones that you need. So which are the ones that you need at the moment? Managing or coping with the overwhelm? The challenge to rethink, test your beliefs, think about it differently. Maybe that way of doing things might not be right. Okay, that's it for this week. Like I said, a nice quick one. I am sitting in the midst of chaos and there needs to be some things done before the day is out. All right, lovely talking to you again. Maybe next week it will be stakeholder analysis. Maybe it'll be something else. Who knows? Who knows? This is the mystery and the fun of it all, is it not? Lovely talking to you again. You take care wherever you are in the world and whatever it is you're doing. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for making the difference that you are making and for caring enough about healthcare to listen, to share, and to like, and to spread the word of the Leadership Lounge in this podcast. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week. Take care.